What's going on, everybody? So, if you are watching this as of January 13th, I believe, then you will be seeing this in the members forum. So, first of all, thank you guys for supporting me. If you will see this probably after January, that probably means that you're getting this in the public release form. But anyways, for everybody out here who's watching, thank you guys for joining me. Today, I'm kind of giving sort of like a raw. This is not going to be as cleanly edited. This is a test of the Comica or Comica. Don't know exactly what it is, but the VM40 microphones or V40 microphones. I can't remember off the top which one it is. But anyways, it's the wireless shotgun microphones that have 32-bit float recording. So I ended up buying the two kit set. So I got actually two shotgun microphones. So the first one you can kind of see right down here. And then I have one up above me that's sort of in a boom position with no foam cover over it, whereas this one has the pop cover on of it. As this is going to be typically, if I was to like use this in this style, will be closer to my mouth, so it would definitely help with pop. While the one that's booming above me is basically kind of will probably be more exposed like this. So just want to give you guys the setup right here. So I'm sort of going to go over what you get with it, and then what have I found just testing it out. I haven't really done any extensive tests yet. Just sort of listen to it and play it back, and sort of just seeing sort of what would be the gauge in terms of setup, because this is something that really I don't think has ever been done before, which is a microphone that not only is wireless but also can record internally, but has 32-bit float internal recordings. So just to give you a quick rundown of the specifications. So basically, these are microphones. As I mentioned, they're shotgun, they're super Cordial shotgun style microphones, and I'm going to emphasize super Cordial because we'll get to it later on. But essentially, what that means is that you'll get your main source of audio basically close to like the the front portion of the microphone, and then it sort of tapers off on the side. Now, microphones tend to vary in terms of how much fall off on the side. This one is definitely distinct. What I mean distinct, it sort of means like it's definitely more tapered off on the side. So that could be a good thing, or it could be a great thing. In certain situations, it could be a challenging thing or something you may need to be aware of in other scenarios. And I'm going to go in that as well. I also sort of will talk a little bit more about the guy I've been using as sort of my on-camera shotgun microphone. Oops, didn't mean to hit that. My on-camera shotgun microphone, which has been the Deity D4 Pro. I love this guy. One, I love the fact that it gives me analog control, which, by the way, these microphones give you analog control as well. And more importantly, it's the quality for what you get for, this is just $100 microphone, but for the quality that you get, it has a very full sounding microphone, which is what I tend to enjoy more, especially in those lower frequencies. You get a lot more of that in something like this. I haven't really heard from these, but based on what I've been hearing, there's a lot more mid in these microphones versus this. But I haven't really listened to the 32-bit float. That's when I get to my full-on review, I'll sort of take a look more at that. But from my playback and just hearing it, there's not as much in the low frequencies as much as the Deity D4 Pro is. There's definitely a lot more tonality in the mids. Um, and but it does sound like there is wiggle room from at least from what I'm hearing. There's designs where there's more wiggle room, but we'll go more into that. Let's start off first of what you get. So first off, you get this little carrying case, which comes with a 2-part compartment, which I actually really enjoy, and I actually love this because most microphones, they unless you get something like the Schneps and some Sennheisers, but most microphones you don't really get a case, you just get a box. Like this just came with a box, and that was really it. But I do love the fact that it does come with a case. So, again, hitting the microphone, sorry. In the top part, you get all your accessories, your main sort of accessories. So your pop phone, which is like this. You also get these, which are your dead cats, or which is definitely if you're outside and you're dealing with more environmental and mostly wind, you're going to want to take care of that. So if I was to take these out, you get a TRS to TRS cable, which is this one, and then you get a TRRS to TRS cable. Now, right off the top of the bat, this is to me a much better win for Comica over Deity, because what frustrated me so much about the Deity kit, that when you get that, is that, so you got this cable right here. You got one with the Deity cable. You get as well. You get a TRS to USB-C, because the only output you have is USB. So you got USB-C to TRS, and then you got USB-C to TRRS. Unfortunately, as I'll put up right here, there is no way to distinguish which one is which. And if you are a Sony shooter, Sony shooters typically only take one of these, or if certain cameras only take one of these, and smartphones take the other. But there's no way to distinguish one from the other. I just kind of figured out that the Sony one, the one that takes the Sony, is this one, just from trial and error. So, and pretty much this is the one I've just sort of stuck with. But that was such a big negative, because it's just frustrating because I don't know which one is which. Well, not only by color you can tell which one, because, sorry. Let me pull that up. Not only you can tell because there's actual color distinction. So the TRS is, this one's the TRS, and this is the TRRS. So you got a color distinction, you got line differences as well in terms of to tell you the difference. But also, they got a little tag on the side that will tell you, okay, this one is good for cameras and switchers and recorders. This one is where you really want to do. You can do this with cameras as well, but this was mainly designed if you're recording the smartphones. This is the one to go with. So, but they tell you, and they give little symbols, and even let you, and got text. To all microphone and audio people out there that give you multiple cables like this, please give distinctions. So Comica, big shout outs to you for doing that properly. So you have that, then you have this charging cable, and it's a charging cable that has Type-C ports, and it's a multi-string one, so you can go USB-C, USB-C, and then you got USB-C or you got USB-A. So if you got one wall outlet, and you can go to one or the other, and it's a multi-port. They're connected together. And then there's a computer connection cable as well. So this is what you would use to, if you're going to go through a computer, you're going to use this to update your firmware. It's also when you are done with recording, so you're ready to offload the audios from the microphones themselves, this is the cable that you would use. So you have USB-C port connecting, but you also have, and then it's got USB-A, but underneath this, as you'll see, we have Type-C as well. So they give you both options, which is great. So this will give you the ability to offload. You'll need this to offload your audio files for that. So then what you get is a warranty card in there, and as well as the manual. They also give you a QR code in here. Don't know exactly where it is right now, but they give you a QR code to where you can read the manual for electronically, but you have a hard copy of the manual here as well. I suggest you read over it because we'll get to later. There's there's certain steps and certain buttons you have to press to engage certain things. It's not simplistic, and this is going to be one of at least my initial critiques of it from just a first impression standpoint. But I would strongly encourage you to read over the manual. So we'll put that back in. Where is the phone pop? Where's the phone pop? Am I missing something? Where is the phone pop? Oh, here it is. I don't know how it got over there. All right. So, sorry, there's one more thing I forgot. So you do have adapters. So I'll pull one out. So with the toolkit, you get 2 adapters for the different shotgun microphones. So they come with the standard microphone stand screw in. So, but you can adapt it to 3/8 with this one, and they also have a screw in for 1/4-20 as well. So if you want to do 1/4-20, you can do that here as well. So I'm gonna take this and put this back in. And so with the dual kit, you get 2 of those, one for each shotgun mic, which is great. So that's the top portion. Now the bottom compartment will contain the microphones. Obviously, I'm using them right now, so they're not here. But the bottom portion will contain the 2 microphones, or the single one if you get the single kit. The receiver, which is right here, which I'll talk about this more in a second. Here is where you would hold your shotgun mounts. Shotgun mounts, you can put those in here, and then these tools will be your mounting adapters, where you will have your mounting adapters. So either you can mount it to like a table mic like this, or you can use one of those adapters, screw it on, and put it, like right now I got it in a 3/8. So let's actually talk about the receiver. So the receiver, I've heard people talk about how cheap this feels, and I didn't really know what it really meant until I actually picked it up in my hands. Holy crap. I feel like I could, if I squeeze this just slightly, I will break it. It's super plastic, which is a shame because the microphones themselves are they feel premium. They feel like they can endure some things, and then you get this receiver, and it feels like it will fall apart. It won't last a day. So I'll just say this: I am not a fan of the build quality of this. I think this is subpar, to just be honest. And just in terms of the feeling, it just feels here off. I don't know if I would actually put the receiver on my camera. I will most likely try to get some sort of shotgun mount support and then just run a cable directly into the camera as well. And this is definitely helpful, especially if you got a Sony FX3 with the top handle. You could just get like a little adapter for the shotgun mic holder, because for some reason Sony makes the mount only for their cameras, for their microphones. So you need to get a little adapter, but they're cheap, so it doesn't cost that much. But I would rather use it there and then plug it directly into that top handle. Number one, the battery power of those will last significantly longer, because I believe it will last like 40 hours if you power it through using the camera to power the microphone, versus like how I'm doing it right now. This would be about 10 hours. I would get roughly 10 hours of runtime. So I personally would just use it that way. And then this, I kind of would just use this with, like, I would put it in my pocket or maybe put it on my belt, because it's with the belt clip. I may just put it on my belt and just plug in my headphones and just basically just use it to monitor. I wouldn't actually plug this into the camera, because I feel like if something was to happen and the camera's getting knocked off, this would snap and break easily. So I would rather just hold it on and just sort of have it as a monitor solution, which is sort of how I'm using it right now. Let's talk for a quick second about the microphones themselves. So I mentioned that these are super Cordial microphones, and I was saying that a lot of microphones, it varies again depending on the size. However, these, I've noticed that it is there's a very distinct difference of just, even if you're just slightly off axis. So I'm just going to move it slightly off axis like right now, and there's just a significant reduction of quality of the microphone right now versus just being off axis like right here, or that's not slightly, that's very dramatic, but just being slightly off axis right here, there's a definite dramatic drop versus being right here with directly in front. So with these microphones, you got to be very, very careful about being in terms of the direction of pointing. So and then even if you tilt it slightly down where it's more covering over this portion here, you'll see a little bit of a reduction. Again, hopefully you guys will hear it and see it here. So as I return back to where the main part, the front part here, is directly at me, and then I'm going to tilt it just slightly up, and you'll notice, hopefully you can see the varying changing of audio quality just by me moving this, just being slightly off right here, and then again just slightly off to the left, slightly off to the right. So let me set this back down. I'm saying all of this because this is great. Now, in terms of like an interview style, or if you're booming it, this is fantastic, because this means that when it's super Cordial, that means this is going to be great, because most of your audio is going to go directly to your subject, which is awesome. And even if it means that even if your audio, the microphones may pick something up, you can throw something like voice isolation and just throw it just a little bit, maybe like 15-20%, and it will knock everything out while not completely wrecking the quality of the microphone itself. So that is amazing. Now, if you're doing something that's more running gun, actually, let me, before I go into that, the other thing I think it's great is if you are someone that maybe records ambience or records sound, like sound in general. Maybe you sell it to different to different websites or something like that, or maybe you just have a sound library, a sound effects library. These are great because they will really target whatever you may be particularly looking for. So if you're trying to get a train going by, it will really just focus, and you aim it directly at it. It will really get it while also not kicking a lot of the stuff around here, or maybe there's a certain animal noise, or maybe there's a certain sound that you're trying to capture. If you aim it directly at it, it's perfect. It's great for those. Now, what I was about to say was, in terms of the running gun, was this is where I may still personally have the Deity microphone on there. Because maybe sometimes you do want to capture that ambient sound, especially if you're a solo shooter. Maybe you're a solo shooter, or maybe you work with a small team, and you want to sort of capture the ambience of the environment that you're filming. This is particularly true maybe of a wedding. You want to be able to maybe hear the different things. So in terms of that, the Deity microphone is a little bit better, because it it still gives you the deity microphone gives you a little bit more on the sides, which allows you to get a little bit more feel of the world around you. Whereas these are very, very directional. Now, in terms of weddings, I think I would love these as a secondary option compared to a lavalier, where if I have a couple, or if it's a bride or groom, and they're reading their personal vows, this is great. This is fantastic. These are awesome because again, it will kick a lot of that noise out, especially if it's being a lot more directional. But if I'm trying to bring more of what I'm capturing as well as the environment around, I think the deity microphone is just a little bit better for that. So that's why I say it's sort of this is a great thing in terms of interviews and talking heads. If you're trying to try to capture more of the world and the ambience of the world around it, it may not be the best solution. You may want to look for alternatives for that. So just something to keep in mind. So there's that. And then again, I've mentioned the quality of the microphone. It sounds good. It sounds really good. It sounds solid. But again, I think I want to take it in, and I haven't really taken it and tinkered it with it. I've just sort of played it back and sort of just heard it myself. I think one of the things I will say is in terms of a noise floor, because even though these microphones have 32-bit float, these are still microphones. So when you got something like an analog gain, which I think is really, really great, you can crank it up all the way to 10 from 0 to 10. And the point I'm trying to get at is that this essentially, even if you crank it up to 10, it's pretty damn clean. And there's not a lot of hiss, where even with something like the Rode Wireless Pros that have 32-bit float internally as well, I have found that if you increase, or something like the deity microphone, is that even if you capture 32-bit float to it using like the Rode, I have found that if you hit like above the +2 on the dial of the deity mic, you will there is a noticeable noise floor that you're going to hear. Whereas here, it's very, very clean. So even if I crank it, you really start hearing it once you get to like 8, 9, 10. But I feel like, and I will also say, if you drop it down to like 1 or 2, it's going to be super low and very hard to really hear. I found that 6 is right now, particularly in terms of microphone gain itself levels. I personally found that 6, the 6 level is the sweet spot in my personal opinion. And then if you want to go up to, like, I say you could go up to probably like 8 or 9 before you really hear anything. And then even if you get to 10, it's still not too bad where you can knock that out in post as well. But the other point I was trying to get to was that with the Sony FX3 with its top handle, I found that if you're at 6, you only have to be at that first dial on the Sony FX3, and the audio is super clean, super clear, super crisp. It's great. Whereas even when I had this like to the point where I was most comfortable, which is like 2 or 3 on the deity, I found that I still had to crank it up to the second notch on the top panel of the FX3 to really get a fully environment. Whereas there definitely feels like there's definitely more gain. I feel like there's better preamps on this microphone versus something like the deity. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, the only thing for me Another thing for me is that you can see this little tape thing. I gotta probably retape it, but um, the only other thing is that I wish that Comica, another critique and feedback is that I wish there was a way that they had some tape that you could put on these microphones that you could distinguish one from the other, because I remember I recorded recorded something to do my test, and then I went through and I was just like, wait, which microphone did I forgot which microphone I put, because I put it back in the bag and I was like, oh, which microphone did I put it in? I don't remember. So I would just suggest, so another suggestion would just make sure is that you guys get some label makers so you could distinguish one from the other, so you don't know, so you know which one recorded which sound. And then in terms, again, the dynamics of the sound, this, again, as I mentioned at the top, this microphone feels a little bit, it has more weight in the mids, versus the lower frequencies. But you can always EQ those in post. And again, it's 32-bit float. So the beauty about it is that you can record all this, and your audio isn't going to get clipped. Either way, whether it's high or low, you're not going to raise the noise floor. So it's great in that sense that you can basically EQ the sound if you want to as well. So I think that's it for me in terms of my first impressions. Overall, I think the build quality of these mics are great. I feel the shotguns are pretty solid. And this for the cold shoe, I'm not really a fan of, but in terms of just like sort of like putting them on these adapters and things like that, I think they're great. They're solid. One of my big critiques is just the cheapness of the receiver. I would only basically use this as a monitor. I don't necessarily would put this on as an on camera because I was afraid it would just get wrecked. I would, and yeah, there's minor things like there was getting a labeler so you can make sure you can distinguish one from the other, and essentially just be mindful that this may not have as much in the lower frequencies as the others. But overall, so far, I'm fairly impressed, and I will definitely do some more testings and get a review out for you guys. But this is going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know. Leave your comments down below. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take care, everyone.